Okay, so you picked up your guitar and all of a sudden it's very difficult to play. And you're wondering what the issue might be. Most likely this is a truss rod issue. It's one of the most common problems, and we're going to talk more about that today and kind of get more in depth. First, let's talk about what is a truss rod. A truss rod is simply a metal bar or a metal rod that goes all the way through the guitar neck. It comes standard on almost every acoustic guitar, with some exceptions. Most classicals don't have it, but typically there's going to be an access up at the top of the headstock or down here. And essentially what happens is, right now we're in the fall. During the fall, it's a change of weather, so you're going to have a change of both humidity and temperature. When that happens, because the guitar neck itself is a piece of wood, it's going to be reacting to that the same way a branch or a tree would in nature. So that's why they put truss rods through there. We're going to talk about how to adjust that, specifically today a down bow. Essentially, here is a straight neck, and a down bow would be like this, so it makes it more difficult to play. The string action is higher. Or an up bow, which would be like this, which would mean you go to play your guitar and the strings are running into the neck. So first we're going to take a look at the neck here. So a lot of guitars are actually going to have the truss rod adjustment right in here, right on the right where the neck meets the body. This one, you'll see there's nothing there. There's a plain block of wood. Now if it were there, this is where we'd be focusing. We'd essentially be doing the same thing that we're doing up on the headstock. Now on this guitar, you'll see that the truss rod adjustment is actually right up here at the top of the headstock. And essentially the rod goes, like I said, all the way through the neck, but this is where we can adjust it. And so it's rather simple with it being loose, and I'm going to go ahead and show you real quick with the flat edge here. When you look closely at the guitar, you're going to see that there is a good amount of gap right in here on the neck. And this is what's causing it to be hard to play. To be a little bit more specific, and this is a flat edge I got from StewMac. Truthfully, you could just use any straight edge. You could use a ruler for all I care. And then this right here is a little bit more of a specific tool. This is called a string action gauge. I don't know that you have to get this, but it does make it really easy to kind of know exactly where you should be. There's different preferences on where people want to have their action. But specifically, we're going to be focusing on the 64th of an inch here. So right here, you'll see on the very bottom, if you get real close there, that's a 4/64 of an inch there by my thumb. And then right there is 8/64 of an inch right there. We don't really want to get any higher than that because 8/64 of an inch is already kind of high. So we're going to be focusing down here in this area. So when I take the string action, and everyone does it differently, so there's no right or wrong way, but I look right at the 12th fret here, and I'm going to look and see, to me this looks like we're at 8/64 of an inch. That's okay, could be better. I'm going to check on the other side too while I'm at it. We're at 8/64 of an inch there as well. I would say, for me personally, I like to get it closer to 6/64 of an inch on the thick E side, and then on the thinner E, I'd prefer it to be closer to 4 to 5/64 of an inch. So let's get into how you can do this. What we're going to do is I'm going to take the truss rod adjustment tool, and I'm going to just simply put it right into place here. So when I do this, I'm going to just sight right down the neck with my eye, and I'm going to go about 1/4 of a turn. Now I see when I look down here, it still needs a little bit more, so I'm going to take another adjustment here with my tool, 1/4 of a turn. It's important to note that as long as the neck feels like there's room to move this and you're not struggling, it's okay to do more than 1 or 2 turns. If you go to adjust this and it's really hard and you're having to pull really hard, do not go any further. And you may want to have someone that knows what they're doing look at it, because you can easily then snap a truss rod, or you can break a truss rod that way. It's very easy to do if you're not careful. Now, it's important to note that there's really no need, especially on this one, to loosen the strings. If for some reason your guitar, your truss rod adjustment tool is running into the strings, then you should probably loosen at least the 2 here in the middle. This one does not need it. There's no reason you have to loosen the strings on your neck to adjust it. In fact, I prefer to keep the full tension on, because if you go to adjust it and the strings are loose, it's going to affect the neck, so you're not going to have an accurate reading on it. So I did 2 1/4 turns And I'd like to now see what we ended up with and see if I'm happy with the action. So now when I'm looking, we're closer to 6/64 of an inch, which is really to me about the sweet spot where I'd like to keep my acoustics. And just checking on the other side here, we're just between 5 and 6, which I think is going to be good enough for this one. On the thinny, I don't like to go really any higher than 6/64, but this is still in an acceptable range. One other detail I'd like to mention too is when we look back at the neck here, let's go ahead and get the straight ruler back out. When you look at this, and if you want to rewind, you can rewind the video and see the difference between the two. But you're going to see there's a little less of a gap here. We have a little bit closer, the strings are a little bit closer to the neck. So we know the truss rod is doing its job, it's more straight. It's going to make it a lot easier to play. This one, I will say I left just a little touch of relief. And that's a pretty common thing to do. Most guitars, I don't normally actually set them up to have a perfectly straight neck, because a lot of times when you do that, you're going to have maybe a little bit more buzzing than you want to. So I leave just a little touch of relief. There's no right or wrong answer. There's different techs have different answers for different ways they do things, but that's just how we do it here. So now if you have the opposite problem and you pick up your guitar and you're having a bunch of the notes are buzzing out and it's easy to play but it doesn't sound right, that means you have what we talked about earlier, which is the up bow. So the up bow is going to be again, the neck is bowing up, and so really all we're going to do is we're going to do the exact opposite of what we did for a down bow. We're just going to loosen it up, really just as simple as that. So this one here, it's a little tight. When you can even hear it when I adjust it, it's just got a little bit of tightness to it. We're right back to where I like to be. So we're right back to where I adjusted it earlier. And so now, again, if you had an up bow, that's going to fix the problem. And it's just simply you're loosening it up. And one other thing I like to mention too, this is the tool, which is pretty typical for a lot of guitars. I know Gibson guitars use this style. A lot of Taylors will use this style. But if you have a lot of standard guitars, are going to use more something like this. So essentially the difference being that this is going to be more of like the male end adjuster. A lot of times when you use this tool, it's going to more be the truss rod entrance right here at the bottom heel, and it's the same exact principle. If the neck is loose and you've got high action, you're going to righty tighty, you're going to tighten it up, and if the action is buzzing out and you've got an up bow, you're going to loosen it by going this way. And if you have any questions or you have any concerns, feel free to leave those comments below. But this kind of wraps up our video today, and hopefully this helped you out.